those dialogues and such.
Interesting.
And yes, and so you cannot really tell like what's exactly going on there, but but the thing is, you get to still be able to tell like what's
You can still figure it out.
Yes.
And that's what I'm assuming that's probably what it's supposed to be. Is instead of being kind of spoon-fed, this is what's going on. You're using context clues to get it.
Yeah.
So, what's the use of silence? I know the E3 reveal, if you want to call it trailer, there was a lot of use of silence, which I found it was really jarring, but I really, it immersed me into that experience.
Okay.
Is there a use of silence in the game?
Well, actually, the very first guy I had talked to when I decided to make this game was the sound director.
Okay.
Telling like, okay, I'm gonna make a soundless game. He was like, what?
I know, starting with the sound director for a game about a deaf character is a very interesting place to start.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not about like removing all the sound. Actually, the challenge is to create his own world. So it's not really just a soundless game. It's not just a mute game.
Got it.
So it has a lot of unique sound design to experience what he experiences.
Yeah. So let's get to, there's a mix of live action and CGI in this. What can you tell us about that?
Okay, well, The Quiet Man, this game is to be like very much like like watching the movie. It's, I would say this game is a like interactive like cinema experience with some of the like action elements in the playable part to be to be added to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that makes sense then, that the length of the game is kind of the length of a longer movie.
Yes.
Right. So are there any other elements of film that you've injected into the game?
Yeah, there are some additional pieces. It's definitely a kind of group effort amongst the live action team and the game team, and obviously realizing Kensei's vision of the overlap. So some other aspects other than just some of the storytelling in between game portions is actually live action injected within the game portions as well, to sort of let you channel what Dane is experiencing and what your goals might be. So there's a lot of coordination that we had to do to try to keep the experience cinematic and communicate to the player, so it's a fun game but doesn't leave that kind of experience.
Well, I can't wait to get inside of Dane's head and really get into this experience. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay tuned for more Gamescom 2018 coming at you right after this.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more. Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Hello everyone and welcome to Gamescom 2018. You're here with IGN and I'm actually joined by some very special guests. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Please, thank you. Hi, my name is Matt Walker. I'm the producer on Devil May Cry 5. And I have brought with me today the director, the steward of the Devil May Cry series, Hideaki Itsuno.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah! Yeah! Yes!
There
Devil
we
May
go.
Cry
There we go.
and Hideaki Itsuno are back!
Love it. First off, what do you guys think of my coat?
Dude, you look amazing in that coat. Dude,
Very good.
how much money did you spend on that coat?
I think it's about 10 grand. 10 grand on the coat.
Well then, I hope you have insurance on that.
Thank you. This is the first time that we have the game playable here at Gamescom. We got the build out on the floor. People have been playing it all morning. We got 15 minutes of footage up on YouTube. Can you tell us a little bit about the build people are seeing today?
Definitely. That's what the beauty on it.
Hi.
Sweet. So, yeah, exactly. What we're seeing here is the first playable of the game around the world here, exclusive to Gamescom here. You can go to the Microsoft booth in the Hall 8 to check it out. And we're starting off here. We have the senior producer, Michitaro Okabe, is playing for us. He's showing us this is Mission 2 in the game. It's kind of an abridged version of Mission 2. And we're starting off with Nero here. He's collecting some red orbs. And he's going to show us how the Devil Breakers work.
Okay, because of course, Nero, when he first came into the game, he had the Devil Bringer, which was his demon arm. And it's good to see that mechanic come back into the series as a way to kind of bridge the gap between enemies, pull them closer so they can't escape.
Definitely. So, it's great that you brought that up, that you brought up Devil May Cry 4 and the Devil Bringer, because the idea for the Devil Breakers is that they are going to serve out kind of similar functionality to the Devil Bringer, but they're also going to add new moves and new ways for people to play as Nero. But it's interesting because for Itsuno-san, the origin of the Devil Breaker, and in fact, the origin of Devil May Cry 5 itself, was he had this image in his head of, they've put all this effort into creating the Devil Bringer, and what if they took that away then, after all that effort? And he had this image of Nero with these mechanical arms. One of them breaks, and then he goes, "Ah, crap!" And then he shoves his arm down, and he pulls out another one out of the holster. He's like, "All right, I'm ready to get back into the battle."
I love that. I think that is such a cool idea. When I first saw the trailer, I actually thought it was going to be, you had one arm, maybe it was this. I was playing the demo when I realized any arm. It's just
right.
a nub.
Yeah.
And different abilities.
You're correct. You're correct. So they're going to be seeing the shows that right now Okabe-san has 2 out of 4 slots of breakers. So as you use the Devil Breakers, will happen in ways that they can break. One is if you take damage while you're using them. One of the moves. The next thing is there's 2 different kinds of moves. And then there's what we call breakage, which is you hold in on Xbox. You would hold in the B button and wait until the arm charges, and then do like a super move. So, for instance, with Overture, what he's got right now, that would be a time bomb that he wouldn't be able to implant into one of the enemies. And then if he shoots the enemy or if he just lets the time go up, then it'll explode and cause massive damage. There's another one. In the demo, we have 2 Devil Breakers that you can play as. Overture and then
I think I used that one when I was playing the demo. Is that the one that's essentially a Kamehameha blast?
Exactly.
I did that, blasted some demons in the middle of a building here, actually.
Right over here, right? With the new Hell Kaino, right?
It was very satisfying. Recommend it to everyone playing the demo.
It feels really good. And the Gerber is really cool because there's actually 2 different breakage moves you can do. There's the Stamen Ray and then there's one called Pedal Ray. And so if you do that in the air, it's going to be a different super move, essentially. It's going to be one where you're going to have all these crossing lasers instead of the one Kamehameha type of Shinku Hadouken thing.
That sounds...
Stamen Ray.
Stamen Ray,
Yes.
ペタルレイは
ペタルは
放射レーザーですね。
反射レーザーですね。
Yeah, that sounds great. Obviously, DMC is known for its stylish combat. Alongside the arm, we have the Red Queen is back as well.
Yep, exactly.
There it is. There's the blast right there.
Man.
Look at that
That's
thing.
Stamen Ray.
It's going full
Super
Super
showing
Saiyan.
off here, exactly. And see, and so now it broke. So now you'll see the counter went down, but then he went and picked up another one on the floor. And what happens is Nico, his partner, has developed these different Devil Breakers.
Yeah.
And she's in the canon of the game, anyways. She's gone through the levels and she's actually placed them in the levels so that as you run out of them, hopefully you can find more throughout the level, or you can actually buy them in the in-game store. In the game store being the Devil May Cry van, where you can use red orbs, for instance, to purchase.
Right. So because Nico in the game kind of works as your shop for purchasing upgrades and things like that. In the game, as I said, we've got the Red Queen back. Has that changed much from how it was used in in the previous installment?
Excellent question. Red Queen はDMC4 からなんか変わったりしますか？
そうですね。もっとデビル4の時よりも機械的に説得力のあるデザインになってるんで、細かいとこまでできてるんで、よく見てほしいなと。
So, Okami-san is actually showing off the new design of the Red Queen there. Well, at least from a design perspective, yeah. We've taken a lot more effort to actually redesign it a little bit so that it feels more mechanical.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is that you can rev it up and get that extra power out of it, right?
Which I gotta say is just the most satisfying thing in the world. I never knew how much I wanted to rev a sword until I did it in a video game.
When you pull up, and of course in this game you can too, but when you pull up EX Act and you're able to hit the enemy and then time it just right so that you can charge up the level on there, it feels so good, right?
It does feel, you're doing Kamehamehas with one hand, you're hitting people with a motorbike sword with the other one.
Exactly.
It's so satisfying.
But I mean, of course, we've still got the blue rose though.
Yes.
Still got the blue rose.
Of course, yeah. Has that changed much in how it's implemented?
今回ブルーローズは弾をねチェンジできるんですよ。カラーから弾をチェンジして撃つと強力な弾が撃てます。今岡部さんがやってくれますよ。
So Okami-san will show us what's going to happen is with the blue rose, you're going to be able to load the gun. You're going to be able to do this load action with the gun, and by doing that, then you're going to load in 2 different kinds of bullets. And by loading in those 2 different kind of bullets and then firing, you see what happens is you get this kind of multiple hit gunshot.
体力ゲージのところの下に6発弾の絵があるでしょ。
Now see, when he loads the gun, see now on the UI there, underneath the health, you'll see these bullets. There's 6 different bullets that show up. And so,
I see them
リロードすると6発全部変わってで2発ずつ3回。
You can reload all 6, and then you have 3 different shots. Basically, you can shoot it 3 times, powered up.
That's amazing. Yeah, it looks great. And obviously the combat is not just, over a wide variety. It's also, the whole point of it is that it's supposed to look stylish.
Exactly. あれですよね。結局ね、アクションで言えばね、やっぱりスタイル目指すと思いますけど。Oh, there we go. There's the pedal ray right there.
That is amazing.
And you're exactly right. I mean, we designed all of Nero's moves with the Devil Breakers in mind, with the idea that how can people then pull off their own brand of stylish moves and stylish combos with the Devil Breakers?
Right. I mean, that's one thing I noticed when I was playing the demo. I had a whole fight for maybe 3 minutes. I never even touched the ground. It's this continuous, fighting where you can just pull someone up, whip them, pull them up, just never ending.
Well, exactly. And the wire snatch, that's a really great thing to bring up. So in Devil May Cry 4, you have the Devil Bringer, and the Devil Bringer you could actually use to pull in your enemies.
Big old hand,
Which I always thought was such a cool approach to action games,
Absolutely.
You're always thinking about enemy grouping when you're playing these kinds of action games, right?
Yeah.
But, what if you give them the ability to actually rope in an enemy and bring them to you? I thought that was such an interesting innovation that Etroomm-san came up with. So, because we lost the Devil Bringer, though, we needed to find another way to give Nero the ability to rope in the enemies, and so that's where the wire snatch comes in. The cool thing is, even if you don't have, regardless of which Devil Breaker you have, or even if you don't have any Devil Breakers in your inventory at that point in time, you're able to do the wire snatch.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that's so frustrating in these types of games is when a combo is broken, and obviously this just cuts that out completely because you can bring the enemy straight to you and keep that thing going non-stop.
ワイヤースナッチのすごいいいところは結局コンボしている時に結局敵をやっぱりね自分にね持ってくるのがすごい気持ちいいんだよね。
うちの若いスタッフがそうですねもうデビル4を作る前からヴァンパイアの新作作ろうかとかカプコン VS SNK3 の新作作ろうかっていう話があった時にやろうとしたネタなんですよ。
一応名前いいと思いますね。
鈴木亮太。
So, and actually the Devil Bringer and this wire snatch mechanic is a really interesting thing to talk about because we have this amazing guy that is about my age, about 36 years old, but he got into Capcom when he was super young. He actually won a bunch of video game tournaments. His name is Yota Suzuki.
Okay.
Really cool guy, brilliant when it comes to video games. And
you're like, has a whip.
Exactly. Right? No, so this guy, he worked with Etroomm-san for a long time, and they thought, you know what if someday we could make a new Darkstalkers game or make like a new, let's say Capcom vs SNK3, and they were like, wouldn't it be cool if we could have that kind of mechanic for that kind of game?
Right.
They ended up using that mechanic then in DMC4.
That is really interesting.
Isn't that cool?
One of the things I saw in a loading screen briefly was that you can now taunt the enemies during the fight.
That's right. Yeah, man, you can taunt, and actually Okabe-san is showing off. He's been showing off the mid-air taunt as well, I believe. And yeah, by using the taunt as you're doing different combos and stuff, that also helps you raise your style rank as well.
Yeah, I mean there's nothing more Nero and Dante than taunting your enemies mid-fight.
挑発ってね、すごい探偵ネロらしいですよね。
そうですね。いっぱい種類あるんで、スタイリッシュランクに応じていっぱい種類があるんで、
So
ぜひ楽し
actually,
みに。
here's something new for you. Turns out that we actually have a couple different kinds of taunts, and depending on your style rank at the given time, you're going to do different taunts. So that's something that when you play the build, check it out and see what he does as you get higher and higher styles, what the taunt comes out.
So if you're S rank, you're really cocky, right? So you're like mooning the enemy and stuff.
挑発がすごい鼻高いですね。
すごいやつが出ます。
Oh yeah, that'll be sweet. You should definitely check it out.
I can't wait. That's actually, I have a bad habit of taunting enemies in Dark Souls.
Cool.
And it does not go well. It rarely ends
なの
well.
でダークソウルを遊ぶときに結構挑発してしまうんですけど、そうするといつも攻撃されちゃうから、やっぱり気をつけないとなというふうに思うんですよね。
This is obviously a new setting as well for the game. It looks a lot like London in the UK, but I'm told that's not the actual name of the location.
なんか今回は、ね、新しい舞台だと思うんですけど、やっぱりすごいロンドン風に見えますよね。
ロンドンに今回スタッフが取材旅行に行っていろいろ写真撮ったり取材してますんで、ロンドンの取材してますね。
Yeah, you have a good eye for it. What we can say is a couple of us did actually go to London to kind of get samples of, if we were to make a city. This isn't London. This is a place called Redgrave City.
Right.
This is a fictional place. But if we were to make something that kind of looked like that, what kind of details would we have to take note of? Here you see, Okabe-san has gone to the telephone booth, and in the game, in this demo, we don't have all the functionality implemented. In fact, we don't have any of the functionality implemented because we want people to just focus on the action. But you're able to, as the tutorial says, you're able to go to these telephone booths and call Nico over, and that way she'll bring the van over, and you can actually go into the van and upgrade all your stuff with red orbs there.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. As I said, the prosthetics and how they work in the game are so different from how I originally thought they would.
Right.
But I think it was definitely for the better. There was a couple of fights where I had great pleasure in essentially ejecting it in a big explosion, which I think is quite cool. You can just make the decision to burn that arm off.
That is an awesome. Actually, I'm really glad you brought that up because I forgot to talk about it. But yes, we do have a move called Breakaway, and there's two different reasons you would want to use this. The thing is, you use this move, and just as you said, right at that point, you will break your arm away.
Yeah.
Just like he's doing now.
There
just
we
to
go.
show you. But by doing that, you can see that you lose one of your arms.
Right.
Now, there's two advantages. The first advantage is if for some reason you have an arm that you don't want to use. Let's say you're in a situation where you want to use a different arm. You can then break your current arm so you can go to the next one in your holster there. The other thing is this acts as an emergency evade. So you're going to see there's going to be certain moves in the game, especially with this Goliath that Okabe-san's about to fight here. By using that move, let's say he's going to have a move where he sucks you in to his stomach. And if you use that move while you're getting sucked in, basically you'll evade out of it and won't get hurt.
Yeah. So it's interesting. There's different ways to implement that.
Exactly. To use that move, right?
Yeah, it's great. Well, unfortunately, as much as I would love to show this boss fight, that is all the time we have. If you want to watch more of this footage that we have here at Gamescom, it's live right now on YouTube. That's IGN on YouTube, so check that out if you want to watch more. Guys, thank you so much for coming in today. Thank you so much for watching, and for all the latest video game news out of Gamescom, stick with us right here at IGN.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
The The IGN app is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With a floating video player on iOS,
struggle to obliterate anyone in his path at the behest of a sentient banana.
That is a long, nice sentence.
Yes, it's ingrained in my mind by this point. So.
And for those who don't know what it would mean to do things at the behest of a sentient banana in a gameplay sense, what are we doing moment to moment here?
So I guess it's I guess this level maybe isn't the best way of showing it, but I'm sure we'll see soon. It's sort of it's like 2D run and gun platform action with 3D graphics. That has a very heavy focus on sort of acrobacy and making the player feel badass.
That's the thing. When I've gotten my hands on with the game before, it became quickly quite apparent that you could just walk through this game crouching behind things, shooting above them, and you could still get away with it. It would just make you the most boring person alive.
You know, from what I learned watching people play this, some people play like that, like more cautiously, and they still have a good time.
Have you kicked them off though?
It's and then I just grab the controller. So, no, but it's like with games, it's like that's the beauty of games. Really, it's like people can play at their own pace and their own intensity. But yeah, this game it shines the most when you're once you get comfortable with the controls, and you can sort of like I try to give you the cool ingredients, and it's up to you to make the soup.
It's like gameplay soup.
I don't know. Soup maybe.
So we've got things like slow motion. So Max Payne style bullet time. We've got like flips and acrobatics, dual wielding. That's I think the thing that's immediately the hardest to grasp, but as soon as you do, it becomes really second nature. So can you talk us through, actually, you know what? Let's wait until we actually see it on screen. Maybe that's the way to do it. So we're at the very start of the game here, so we're just working our way through.
Yes.
We're showing off the fact that this is a sort of like a run and gun shooter in these, I guess you might call it a twin stick style shooter, if you were playing it on the Switch version, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you play with a gamepad, it's very much like a twin stick shooter. Controls for the aiming at least. So yeah, you run around like with the left stick, and then you aim freely with the right stick, and then eventually you learn to, or very early in the game, you learn to separate your aim, so you can split, so you can aim, you can lock on like your left arm on like one enemy while still aiming freely with your right arm. Mm-hmm. So it's like one of those ingredients for the beautiful soup.
And I know you're not talking about it sort of in depth at this point, but there is a sort of running storyline of some kind here.
There is, yeah. To be honest, the depth of the story is about like what you see now on the screen is like that's the opening of the game, and it sort of sets it up. So
it's a pretense for a banana to be able to talk to you.
Yeah. the banana is actually like there's no deeper reasoning really for it, but it actually provides a pretty good sort of when you open with that, then people kind of like, okay, we're talking fruits. All right,
They'll accept whatever they can get.
Anything can happen.
Now, this is what interests me, right? So, everything we've seen from this game so far has been sort of quite like grim-looking industrial areas, mobsters, a lot of blood, very gritty, yes, very scary. And then there's this bit where we're in a sort of what looks like a banana fantasy land.
Yes,
Now,
it's a pretty accurate description.
Okay, so are we looking at, and I've seen some screenshots that seem to indicate that there are going to be areas that aren't, well, that maybe take place in a banana fantasy land. Can you confirm, please, that we will revisit the banana fantasy land?
Banana fantasy land confirmed.
Is playable.
Yes. Yes. So I think most what we've seen from the game so far is this sort of aesthetic, but then there are different themes in the game. I think there's like so there's five different themes. One of which is Banana Fantasy Land.
Imagine. And so, like, is that going to change how we're playing? Are there new mechanics introduced with those things? Like, is it the idea of like cascading, growing mechanics as you work through?
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically So when I was developing it, I was I had to ground everything fairly like. It's not physically accurate.
What?
Yeah, but I had to ground everything in a sort of realistic setting of things, and then I had ideas of not so realistic mechanics, and then it's sort of in a game with a talking banana, it makes sense to I don't know. Yeah, if you visit the banana world, in there physics might behave a little bit different as well.
Okay.
And there are. Yeah. Okay. Exclusive scoop. There are things like propeller hats.
Wait, propeller hats?
Yes.
You're going to have to explain. So, I mean, am I putting on a hat and then I can take off?
Yeah, you find your Pedro's uncle's old propeller hat, and then as you might have seen in the footage, when you do your it's like a dodge move, it's like a little pirouette. Yeah, exactly. So while you have your propeller hat on. When you do the pirouette, you go upwards because you spin your propeller.
So excited for that.
So so there's some silly things in there. It's a fairly short section, so I know not everyone loves when it goes too crazy, but I like it. So
I would be worried for someone who wants to play this game and doesn't want crazy. That seems kind of like not the point.
Just get a friend to play through that section.
And obviously, we've seen sections before. I mean, apart from the car chase section, we've got a whole section set on. Well, not set on, but you can use a skateboard to travel around, do tricks, and also kick it at people's heads.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a few things that sort of like additional things that you can skip it. For example, the skateboard is there. It's just in your environment. If you discover it, you're meant to discover it quite well. But you have the option of just skipping as well. But why would you? While you're on it, you can sort of like if you jump, you do like a kickflip. You can still combine it with your like say the pirouette move, and then you do like little twirl. So sort of like what I would love to see is like somebody plays this later if they actually make like a little skate video or something.
That'd be
like,
so good.
Yeah.
And you have got sort of skate game reminiscent combos and point scores and things like that in there.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
So how deeply is that ingrained in what you're doing? Are you getting gameplay benefit for that, or is it just for the benefit of showing off to your people?
Yeah, it's more showing off. I think like because I discovered there's different kinds of players. Some people just want to finish the game, have the sort of design experience, and that's that. But then it's an excuse for you to, if you want to play it again.
The whole room's just gone off because they've seen the kickflip ricochet kill.
Yeah, because why not?
And I know that you've shown off before as well the fact that at the end of a level, your kind of play of the game, for want of a better word, is going to be displayed, and you can, on the PC version at least, make a GIF out of that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it tries to capture like a cool moment, like. It tries to capture the coolest moment. It's not intelligent enough yet to always get the coolest moment, but it tries to capture a cool moment, and you have the option of saving it as a GIF or like tweeting it straight from the game as well.
So that's how people are going to make their skate videos. Just try to get the coolest moment to be some skating.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And here, I like this bit. So if you jump and you can like kick it's so it's the same with like when you use the shotgun or like there's explosives and you see you can blow the enemies into bits, and then and then you can use those like body parts as weapons as well. So if you kick that into the face of another enemy, you knock them out. And same with the frying pan, you might have seen before as well.
Oh yeah.
Like you can kick that into someone's face, or you can kick the frying pan in the air and you shoot the frying pan and the bullets like ricochet off of nearby enemies.
So good. It's just recycling.
Yeah.
It's very, oh, here we go. Here's the cool moment. And in terms of, we talked about the reaction to the game. Like, you've had, I mean, just on one gameplay piece we put up on YouTube on IGN, we hit over 1 million views, like, very quickly. You must have had so much feedback about this game. Has it changed how you're approaching making things? Like, have you had ideas given to you by fans, or...?
There's always ideas. From so many ideas. But actually, like for me personally, I was quite happy. Like at the point when we did the bigger reveal, most of the sort of creative work in the game is like pretty much done, like because it's just me doing it, and like it's amazing getting all this like attention on the game and things, but it also adds a bit of pressure. I feel like what's there now, it's a cohesive experience, like in a slightly uncohesive way occasionally, but yeah, so it's sort of like all came from the same place. It's not like I didn't feel pressure to change anything now, but like go bigger or anything. But
it felt like people wanted what you'd already made.
Yeah.
That must be a good feeling.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. And the thing that I really want to clear up is when we put up that gameplay footage, which I know for a fact, as I was there, was you playing the game, right?
Yes, that was
A lot of the comments under there going, "This guy can't play the game." Can you please confirm to people that it was you playing the game and that you are amazing at the game?
I did play the game indeed, and but a point of that is that even though like I've been making this for getting close to 4 years now, and play it every day, and best thing is that people were complaining on a few bits of the gameplay, and I guess you can spin that and show that it's like even though you might be like very good at the game, you can still always get better. And it's like often when I record a lot of footage, obviously I do multiple takes to make sure they get the just the right timing on things, just for presentation's sake sometimes. But what I look forward to is like I know there's gonna be players out there who they're gonna be ultimate masters on all the bits. So I'm looking forward to seeing better gameplay.
Exactly, the challenge is out. Do better than you. And it's not long to wait. It's early 2019?
Yeah, early 2019.
PC and Switch.
That's right.
That is very exciting. Thank you so much for joining us, man. It is always a pleasure to look at my friend Pedro, and I cannot wait to see more. There is so much more coming from IGN at Gamescom, so stick with us. But for now, from me, goodbye.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more. The IGN app is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With a floating video player on iOS, you can keep watching the live stream as you read other news. World premiere trailers, and the biggest games. Download the IGN app from the iOS or Android stores now. Sign up for notifications and we'll alert you the second news breaks. Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need, no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
back to IGN Live here at Gamescom 2018. I'm Sydney, and I'm joined by Damien, and we're here to talk For Honor.
Yes.
So there's a new DLC coming out. Do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so we are doing our biggest update we've ever done on For Honor. It's called Marching Fire. It's released 16 October and comes with 4 new heroes of a brand new faction, the Woolen faction, Breach mode or a new PvP multiplayer game mode, and what we're revealing here at Gamescom is the brand new PvE experience, the arcade mode.
Okay, so I'm really excited to hear more about that because you guys teased that at E3, but we'll get back to that. We'll save that for a little bit. So you mentioned the Woolen clan or the Woolen faction.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about that?
So when we released For Honor, we wanted to at one point to come up with a new faction in the world of For Honor, and we're looking at different countries, different type of martial arts, etc. And China really was the obvious choice for us. They have so much depth in different martial arts, different type of weapons, etc. So we really said, okay, we need to have a Chinese faction in For Honor, and those are the Woolen. So here right now, for example, we're seeing one of the heroes, the Jiang Jun. It's one of the hero that is coming with the Woolen faction. He's a hybrid hero. He's a very good hero against group fights. So it's also something we're trying to play with in For Honor, is to introduce heroes with different type of play styles.
I was just going to ask about that.
Exactly. And so he's a good example of that. Yeah.
What are the 4 types of heroes in this faction?
So we have Jiang Jun, the one we just saw. We have also the Nuxia, who is the assassin of the cast. And we saw at E3 the Tiandi, the Vanguard, and the Shaolin.
Where do you start in terms of researching, to create these heroes?
Create a hero, we always start with the weapon.
Okay,
so we look at different type of weaponry they have. We say, okay, this weapon is very interesting. For example, this one is a very famous weapon in China from this hero. His hero is based, in fact, on a real hero.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Guan Yu. He's a very famous hero in China that fought at the end of the Han dynasty. And he made this weapon very popular as well. But for example, we have the Nuxia. She's an assassin and she has hook swords. And so we thought those weapons would be very interesting, and we even made a new gameplay mechanic out of that. So she can grab the enemy weapons with
interesting.
her hooks. So that's also a new type of play.
Yeah, so this DLC really is adding a lot of new stuff.
Yeah. It's the biggest thing we've ever done. A new faction, 4 heroes, Breach mode. Breach mode is a brand new PvP game mode. We spent a lot of time on it. We wanted to have a game mode that lasted longer. Now Dominion match are around 10 minutes. Breach could be between 20 and 30 minutes.
Okay, that's a lot longer.
Yeah, and where you strategize way more. It's
so
based
tactical.
on the castle siege fantasy. So one team is trying to breach through 2 gates and kill the commander of the other team that is trying to prevent that. So it's also our first asymmetrical game mode.
Okay, so is the commander, is that a super-powered player, or is that
it's
AI?
It's a super-powered AI, I would say.
Okay, got it. I wasn't sure if maybe somebody spawned in as the commander.
Yeah,
I guess most of the game would probably be pretty boring, though, because you'd just be waiting for the other team.
Exactly.
So we talked about Breach mode, we talked about the new faction. Let's talk about the arcade mode. So it's unlimited PvE, correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we wanted to introduce a new PvE experience into the game. The story mode was very popular. We also did in the past some events that were only PvE, like Test Your Metal events. And we wanted to come with a brand new mode based on that, where you could play with the same heroes as the one you play in multiplayer with the same progression, where you get the same type of reward. So it just adds a new way to play For Honor. It's something you can play alone or with a friend.
So this is the mode that we're watching right now,
Yeah, exactly.
correct?
With the Nuxia, so the assassin with the hook swords. And here, as you can see, the enemy was on fire. And one of the big things with this new mode is that we apply a lot of different modifiers on yourself and on your enemies that could make you stronger or weaker, and that forces you to play differently, basically. So each battle is a bit like a new puzzle where you need to find a good way to solve it.
So are you just killing hordes coming at you, or is there kind of like an end goal of this?
So depending on which difficulty you choose, you have a different amount of battles. So here, I don't know which difficulty we are, but you start at 4 battles in the common difficulty, and you can go up to 6 battles in the legendary difficulty. The map is chosen randomly, the location is chosen randomly, the enemies are chosen randomly, the modifiers too, and you have a lot of different parameters that makes each play very different, while always having a very strong challenge. That's one also of the core idea behind that game mode.
So you have the 6 battles.
Yeah.
Maybe you get 6, and is there a boss battle at the end of that, or
It
do you
depends.
just win all those battles?
Some of them have bosses, so we use also some of the character of the story campaign. So it depends. The last stage is always the hardest one, but sometimes it could be three different heroes, or it could be one boss, or it could be. That's the idea. The idea is to have as many configuration as we can, so that each time you play it is different, so that you can have fun, a different challenge, and at the same time progress your hero, get your loot, get your XP, get your steel, and everything you would get in a normal PvP game. And on top of that, we have some exclusive cosmetic rewards that are only obtainable through our arcade mode.
And then you can show it off in PvP.
Exactly.
So you mentioned progression.
Yeah.
Is the progression, does that stay with you every time you play in the PvE mode, or does it reset?
Yeah, it stays with you. In fact, you select the different difficulty you want to go. You can select the hardest one from the beginning, but really what matters is what gear you're wearing.
Gotcha.
So if you go in a legendary activity, you should wear legendary gear. If you don't, it will be very, very hard, meaning that one hit kills you.
Yeah.
So some people, I think, will succeed at doing it, but that's very hard.
Well, and it goes back to what you're saying about giving yourself, like, every playthrough will be different, and maybe some people want to play at that intense of a handicap.
Yeah, and we have very, very strong players, so I think some people will be able to do that.
Yeah, a great way to challenge your game.
Yeah.
Or challenge your gameplay.
Exactly.
So, with this game mode, there's an opportunity to kind of up your game and get better at different heroes, correct?
Exactly. We have different ways to get better in the game. So we have the training section where you can play in an arena, where you can select the bot you're playing against. You can select their moves, so you can really practice if you want. But what is great with arcade mode is that it puts you in kind of challenging contextual phases where it makes you use different type of strategies. And so in the end, yes, you get really better by playing your hero because you're in a very exotic situations. And so then you would be better at playing PvP if you played some arcade mode as well. But you're playing with modifiers and things you wouldn't see in PvP, but it's still, those handicaps are really helpful to make you learn how to play your hero and how to play better your hero.
Yeah. So I know in some games, there's a PvE mode and the AI just never seem to be quite at the level of players that you're playing in PvP.
Yeah.
Would you say that the difficulty level in this matches how skilled some of your top tier players are?
I think it's a different type of challenge.
Okay.
We have pretty strong bots already in our game, even in PvP. So it's bots level 3s. They're pretty hard to beat. They parry you, they feint you, they really use the same tools as a normal human. And for us, it's challenging to beat them. And so when you play in legendary difficulty, you play against level 3 bots. But on top, they have modifiers. So like each time they hit you, you get fire damage, or they throw you very far. So it makes them even stronger. So I would say you can have, even if it's a different type of challenge, you can have very, very challenging phase.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that sounds great. You mentioned the training mode. So the PC Starter Edition was free to play for a week in June, which makes me think that it's not too late for players to jump into this game now.
Yeah.
And the training mode is such a great thing for new players. Is there anything else that you would recommend to people that are maybe a little shy to get into the game because they feel like they didn't start when it first came out?
Right now is the best time to come for many reasons. We're gold on Xbox right now, so your games with gold, it means that a lot of players are coming in at the same time than you. We're having a big sales on PS4 at the moment. We're doing a giveaway operation like we did on Uplay at E3. We're doing it this time on Steam. It starts tomorrow. So again, a lot of new players will come at the same time than you, so then it means that PvP will be easier. But even though you have the training, you have the arena mode, you have the tutorial, story mode is also a great way to learn the game. And you can play all game modes are available against bots. So it's also a way if you're too shy or if you're not sure, and you can play against bots while being match made. So it means that you can play with people you don't know and learn how to play with them against bots. It's also a way. And you can play with your friends, of course.
That's so great how many tools there are to make the game so accessible to new players, because I do feel like sometimes, you know, a game comes out and you're interested, but maybe you're really busy or something came up and you just didn't end up playing the game and you kind of feel like it's too late. Yeah. So that's so great to hear.
And that's why one of the focus of this year was also to improve a lot the training mode, to introduce new ways to play the game, new way to practice and to learn the game, because it's one of the challenge on a PvP game is to be always welcoming whatever the time you come to the game.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so happy to hear that there's a new entry point for Honor.
Great.
Stick around because we have more Gamescom 2018 coming at you after this.
Is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With a floating video player on iOS, you can keep watching the live stream as you read other news. World premiere trailers and the biggest games. Download the IGN app from the iOS or Android stores now. Sign up for notifications and we'll alert you the second news breaks.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom 2018. I'm Damon Hatfield, and it's time to check in with Just Cause 4. I'm here with Francesco Antolini, Game Director, and welcome back to the IGN stage. So you showed us a little bit of Just Cause 4 at E3 a couple months ago.
Yes.
What are you guys showing off this week at Gamescom?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah?
Really a lot of stuff. We're a bit nervous indeed before the presentation because I wanted to pack so much into it.
Yeah.
And you know what we managed to? And the reaction of the audience was telling that we had something nice. So what did we do? We started with an overview of Solis. This is the new world where Just Cause 4 is set. And whereas along E3, we basically stayed within the rainforest. This time around, we showed more of the grasslands, more of the desert. We even flew close to a sandstorm, and we also had, a little peek at the Alpine region itself. And then from there, we demoed the new supply drop system. And a thing that you can tell at a glance is that this time around we really come with a very, very big load of different vehicles and weapons, each one with its quirks and the little things to discover. Then we played stunts, creating some crazy machine with the grappling hook. So we continued the trend of doing crazy things that we kicked off at E3, with the boosters, the lifter, the retractor, and the various mods. Then from there, we went back to the rainforest in a sunny day, and we
press the button to get into mission bit where that very sunny day is completely changed by a lightning storm. So lightning storm was the second part of our demo, and I would say nice new reveal about the game. With E3 we focused on the tornado.
Right.
This time around it was everything around the lightning.
Very cool. Yeah, we saw the tornado a little bit in the distance as we were parachuting into this demo here.
Yes, that's the other thing that I wanted to make clear, because after we demoed at E3, I received this question by basically everybody. Hey, but this tornado, we've played it in a mission, but is it in the open world? So we definitely opened the game showing that yes, the tornado is there, the sandstorm is there, blizzards are there, so they are part of the open world, and if you want to go there, play with them, you're always free to do so in pure Just Cause fashion.
Sure. So here we're just playing around some, are these new tools that Rico has available to him?
Yes, the grappling hook, centerpiece of the game.
Right.
This time around, you can not just retract things, but you have different attachments as airlifter, friendly known as balloons for some reason, don't know why, and boosters. And you can mix and match them, and you can also apply modifier to them, as I was saying before, to change the way that they work. For example, to pull that specific stunt, you want to have stabilized boosters that propels you only in one direction, for example, right? And that one is a fine one, because what we did in the demo yesterday, across other things, we showed the upgraded version of that stunt. There Rico was cruising on a cargo container. Now imagine to do the same thing, but with a tank. Now the turret of the tank is independent from the body, meaning that you can also steer in the air and obviously fire your cannon and your machine gun. So there are not many other games that give you the ability to create a flying tank out of nothing.
That's true.
Right?
So I think here we're seeing one of the new vehicles in the game. Is this the Storm Chaser?
This is the Storm Chaser, and again, we really did want for each vehicle to have a reason that, why it's there. And the point with the Storm Chaser is that it's the only vehicle, I believe, in the game that is, let's say, wind immune. So you can drive close to a tornado without being sucked in by the vortex.
It's very useful in a game such as this. Well, so I know weather is a big part of the game. So do you get the Storm Chaser early on? So does that allow you to really get up close and personal?
Actually, no. So you can get close and personal to a tornado whenever you want.
Okay.
Again, obviously, if you drive another vehicle, since this time around all vehicles and all objects in the game really, they will follow in proper aerodynamics. This means that you can approach a tornado in a car and being, gently raised up in the air, and here you are in a flying car. The Storm Chaser, you do actually build it within the context of a long mission. It's the mission from where we took the beat that we showed at the E3. So it's a vehicle that you actually build, taking out factory and pieces, etc., etc.
Then can you speak to these cannons here? Or are they actually wind cannons? What
Yes,
are these here?
yeah, you got it. Those are wind cannons.
I've watched the trailer.
Okay, yeah, good. So what do? They fire wind at a very, very strong force. So this means that you can use them, for example, to prevent enemies from entering a given place, right? Because you can stand the type of wind. But the reason why they are there is to actually manipulate the tornado. So what the wind from the wind cannon does, it can nudge the path of the tornado itself, and you can use more than one to trap the tornado. Or, a little spoiler about this mission, if you use a big number of wind cannons on a tornado, you're feeding the tornado, making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's a pro tip.
Yes.
Well, so this is an enemy outpost here, right? And they were using the cannons to prevent the tornado.
Yes, here we are in the context of that big mission. I really don't want to go too much into the details, but what you've seen is actually a private airport, and you as Rico, you are trying to scout the tornado up to a specific place. The Black Hand has discovered your plans, and so he's trying, to sabotage you, particularly, namely in this moment, trying to keep the tornado from going where you want it to go.
Sure, yeah. Have you talked, you mentioned the Black Hand, have you talked about the villain of this game and what the conflict is, what Rico's mission is?
This is something that we do not want to reveal too much about right now. I want to keep the deepest aspect of the story, if you want, for later on. But what I can tell you is that we wanted to go beyond the usual tropes that we've been following so far. So the classic, dictator, alla Di Ravello or Pepe Panaya. So we wanted something a little bit more nuanced, plausible, less gamey even if you want. Okay, the game is gamey by itself, so it was nice to have a counterbalance in the story of something a little bit more grounded if you're interested into it.
So we saw the Storm Chaser a little bit ago. Are there any other significant new vehicles that have been added to the game?
And so many. We got a complete new class of vehicles. We call them industrial/commercial vehicles. So we are talking about cranes, mobile ramps, a forklift, and each one of them has movable part that you can use. Right. So just mention the forklift, but obviously in a Just Cause you don't use it to to raise a container and move it.
Yeah.
But maybe you use it to crash a vehicle.
Yeah.
So that it's always injecting a little creative thing that you can discover really in everything, in the vehicles, in the props that populate the world. Like something that we've demoed is how you can manipulate something simple as a food truck to make a rocket out of it. So there is this and beyond.
So, and then under the hood, the engine that's powering all of this is the Apex engines, right?
Yes, correct.
Is this something new that you built just for Just Cause 4?
We've built it because as a company we focus on open world. That's our specialty. And after Just Cause 3, we realized that we kind of touched the ceiling of what our previous engine allowed us to do, and of course that was not enough for us. It's certainly not enough for me, but it was not enough for us as a company. We like to think big, and we like to propose worlds and experiences that you haven't felt before. Okay, and so yes, we needed to definitely step up our tech. Reason why during the last phase of development, really, of Just Cause 3, the project of the new engine started, and has been in development together with the game.
I see. Yeah, so this is an engine that's designed, or it's developed with open world destruction in mind.
Open world sandbox.
Sandbox.
Then I would like to say that destruction is one of the various forms that the sandbox can manifest itself, and surely is the dominant one in Just Cause.
Yeah, sure. Well, the game looks like so much fun. We're all going to get a chance to play it on December 4th.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
PC, Xbox One, and PS4?
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming by the
to you.
stage once again, and have a great show here at Gamescom.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Still more to come from day one of Gamescom 2018 here on IGN Live right after this.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more. Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Welcome back to IGN Live here at Gamescom 2018. We are here to talk about a game that a lot of fans are so excited about, which is Life is Strange 2. I am joined by Michelle. Hello. Congratulations on dropping the trailer yesterday.
Thanks a lot.
So for those who maybe didn't see the trailer, let's just start there. Can you tell us what do we know about the story so far?
Yeah, of course. So we are extremely happy that we were able to reveal Life is Strange 2 here at Gamescom, because we did reveal the first game 4 years ago right here. So it's quite an honor to do that again. So Life is Strange 2 is a brand new story with a new set of characters set in the same universe. And it tells the story of two brothers, Sean and Daniel Diaz. Sean is 16 years old and Daniel is 9 years old. And they are forced to be on the run after a tragic event that changed their lives forever. So it's really a game about brotherhood and education, and we'll have to discover it, of course, while playing the game. But those two kids on the road, they have to make difficult choice, and you, as the big brother, as a player, you will have to take care of your younger brother. And everything you say, everything you do, might have an impact on Daniel, on how he will evolve, on how he will get what you say. So, like you are his role model, so he will look up to you and basically react and start.
Well, he's only 9.
Yes, that's definitely the age where basically you need a role model and you still need education. So we are really focusing this story around those two characters, and we are using the structure of a road movie, basically, where you are traveling across the west coast of the United States to flee from Seattle to try to reach Mexico.
Okay, so I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. So let's just start with the two main characters, the brothers. What attracted you and your team to a story of these two boys?
When we started working on Life is Strange 2 with Raoul, the other co-creative director, and Jean-Luc Cano, the writer, who was also the writer on the previous game and on Captain Spirit, we knew that we wanted to do something different, to be able to tell new stories, because for us, Life is Strange is not about a fixed set of characters. It's not just Max and Chloe or Arcadia Bay, but it's really, Life is Strange is about telling stories about relatable characters that are facing real-life issues, and with a twist of supernatural elements. So, in the first Life is Strange, we had this small town that you were always in Arcadia Bay, having this mystery story about the disappearance of Rachel Amber and this friendship between Max and Chloe. We really wanted to work on a different structure. That's why right now we have this structure, like I said, about a road movie where they're on the run, they need to advance. So you will meet a lot of different characters over the course of the 5 episodes. You will discover a lot of different sceneries and environments, and this allows us to talk about different social themes, like, for example, talking about outcasts. How is it to live on the outskirts of society, to be basically, to not be in society anymore? What are the difficulties that those two kids will face when they are trying to survive outside of the rules of the real world?
Well, and that's really special, because I'd assume that most people who are playing this game probably don't have those experiences. So you and your team get to kind of introduce them to a whole other world.
You're right, of course. We still have those two characters who are brothers, and in our team, and our writer, Jean-Luc, as a brother, he's also a young dad with a little kid. So there is definitely, I think, for every player, something that will appeal as a more universal theme, like I think parenting or brotherhood or having to take care of a child is something we think that should still resonate with most of the players. And of course, we bring them in a totally different settings where they're on the road and living as outcasts, which is definitely a twist on this situation.
Okay, so you mentioned twist. There obviously were supernatural elements in the original. Can we expect to see that in the sequel? Because I don't know, I mean, maybe it's a secret, but I didn't notice any in the trailer.
You've seen some hints of it in the trailer.
Okay.
It's really subtle, but definitely it will be here. It is important for us. Life is Strange is not about the supernatural elements, but the need for us to be there, because we use those supernatural elements to add a twist and another layer of complexity over the simple, relatable story. And the way we are designing and writing the story is to use those supernatural elements to bring a bit of chaos and some emphasis on the real-life issues that the brothers are facing. So, without telling too much, when we have a game like this one about education, where you have to take care of your little brother, if there are some supernatural elements that happens around yourself, it makes it more complicated and makes your choice more harder to
kind of
make.
ups the ante. So we're watching some gameplay right now, which is brand new.
Definitely.
What can you tell us about what we're seeing?
So it's a real beginning of the game. It's the first scene of the game, and you see right now Sean. So you play as Sean Diaz. He's a 16 years old teenager who he lives in Seattle with his brother and his dad, and he has just teenager issues. He wants to go to a Halloween party. He's talking with his best friend, and you will see that the basics of the game are the same. We really took the core mechanics of Life is Strange. It's a classic adventure game. When you're exploring, there is a lot of care about the environmental storytelling that we love to do. So you can explore your rooms, your house, discover much more about this character and his brother and his dad. It's really a scene where you are in a familiar place. Like, it looks very much like the first Life is Strange. And you will see, of course, at the end of the gameplay trailer that there is this tragic event that happens that changes everything and pushes those two kids to go on the run. So it's interesting because Sean is 16 years old. He's younger than Max and Chloe were. And when you put him in a situation where he has to run and to be just on the wild and running away, everything's changed for him. He stops to being a teenager and needs to just be right away, almost an adult, and take care of his brother. And that's something that was really interesting for us to use a younger character, because it brings a lot of interesting narrative points on the story.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, interacting with a younger person versus just peers changes the way that you act. And I'm sure that we'll see Sean have to grow up fast.
Yeah, and even when you're 16 and you have your brother with you, Daniel will be your family, but he's also your burden, because sometimes Sean still wants to be a normal teenager, but he cannot do that anymore almost. So there'll be all those interesting decisions we have to make on how you behave with Daniel. Do you take care of him the best way possible? Do you sometimes make some choice that seems maybe better for Sean, but might be not the best one for Daniel?
Yeah.
And all the system of the game and the choice and consequences of the game are evolving over this aspect of teaching Daniel. And like I said in the beginning, your actions, what you do, what you look at, what you're doing when Daniel is next to you will impact him, because he will just look at you and sees, okay, if my big brother is doing that, that's maybe the right thing to do.
So you mentioned, I mean, the gameplay looks very familiar to the original. Are there any different gameplay mechanics outside of just a different story?
So the way we did try to approach that is to look at what were the strengths, the things we really liked in the first Life is Strange, and we did try to improve on what for us would be important to have a smoother storytelling. So even right now in the sequence you're looking at, you can see that Sean is on his computer on Skype talking with Lila, his best friend. But at the same moment that you have this discussion, you can also look around and interact with objects while still continuing to talk with them. So we are trying to add more and more of that, of dynamic dialogues where you are not just in a fixed cutscenes talking face to face. We have those, of course, again, but we have those moments with Daniel or with other characters where you can more freely move in your environments, interact with objects, and still talk to different characters.
I feel like I'm hanging on every word you said. You said Lila's best friend. I'm like, remember it. We'll look it up later. Okay, so this takes place in Oregon, and the last story took place, this takes place in Seattle, and the last took place in Oregon. This is a sequel. So what made you and your team decide that this is a sequel versus doing something like Captain Spirit, where it clearly isn't?
So I wouldn't directly use the word sequel. For me, it's more like another story in the same universe.
Got it.
So definitely you will find links between the first game and the second game. And Captain Spirit is definitely a part of Life is Strange 2. You will see over the course of the other episodes how the story of Sean and Daniel blends with the story of Chris and what's happened with those characters together. The game takes place 3 years after the first Life is Strange. So player will discover that there are links, there are the same universe, the same it's the same timeline, the same world. So definitely players will find sometimes some familiarity, but it's still a brand new story that player could play Life is Strange 2 even if they didn't play the first game.
So this is kind of out of left field, but I read somewhere that when you and your team were pitching to Square, the original game was meant to be a full-length game, and then it swapped to being episodic. Is that correct?
Actually, no. We directly did pitch the game as episodic. That's something that even before pitching the first game to Square Enix or to publishers, we had this episodic structure in mind. That was a creative decision that we really liked with our writer to try to have this TV series approach, which allowed us to have for us a better pacing over the course of the story, because we knew that each episode was around 2 to 2 hours and 30 minutes, something like that, or 2 to 3 hours, which can be played in one playthrough. And it was interesting for us to think about those episodes as a whole small game, and then when you put the 5 together, you have the bigger story. But we are basically controlling the pacing for the player, because we know that where we begin an episode and where we end an episode, where it's a good moment to have a cliffhanger of some higher pacing. So definitely for us it was episodic right from the beginning, and that's the same for this game.
So I have one last question I have to ask. So was that the last that we saw of Max and Chloe, or will we see them return?
That's something I think I cannot really answer. On our side, for sure, we are extremely happy with the story we told in the first Life is Strange. And
well, it felt very complete.
Yes, for us it is, at least. It was the story we wanted to tell about Max and Chloe, but it was really a coming-of-age story where Max had to, just at a point, decide that she has to make a choice, which is a final choice you make at the end of Season 1. And when the player and Max decide one of those endings, for us, her character arc, her story was done, because she had the guts to say, okay, I stand to one choice and I don't rewind anymore. So for us, this was a good character development that we think that now it's up to the players and the fans to just think of what happens next to those characters, and hopefully you cannot do too many games in a game developer time. It takes time to make games. So we prefer to focus on trying to bring new characters and new stories, because there is a lot of different themes and situations we want also to bring to awareness to the players, and having a new set of characters coming from different cultures or backgrounds allows us to talk to much more different subjects
versus just sticking with the same story the whole time. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so excited about all of the new information we've learned. Stick around, because IGN Live at Gamescom 2018 is coming right back at you after this.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
The IGN app is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With a floating video player on iOS, you can keep watching the live stream as you read other news, world premiere trailers, and the biggest games. Download the IGN app from the iOS or Android stores now. Sign up for notifications and we'll alert you the second news breaks.
What's up, everyone? We are back at IGN Live at Gamescom 2018, and we are talking about a game that I am so insanely excited about, which is Hitman 2. Let's talk some Hitman 2. So I don't even know where to start, so we will start with the story. You are releasing the game in its entirety on launch date. On the launch day, correct?
We are. All 6 base levels are gonna be there for everybody to enjoy.
So, what can we expect from the story? The end of the last game ended in a way that kind of hinted at some pretty big stuff, but also I felt like it was telling us that we'd learn more about Agent 47.
Yeah. I can't reveal too much, but I can say that it does take its twists and turns here in Hitman 2. We are continuing the story, learning more about the Shadow Client, learning more about 47's past as well. But that's as far as I can go right now.
That's fair. That's fair. So, as far as the creative process and thinking about making a game episodically versus making a game that's coming out all at launch, how does that differ?
It's a lot more work, of course, and we did love the episodic format.
Yeah. And I think a lot of fans did too.
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely enjoyed it.
Absolutely. But there was also a lot of people who sort of didn't really understand it, and then that became the topic, right? Mm-hmm. So we thought, well, we're doubling down on the live content, which was also part of the season 1, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of continuous drops of awesome stuff. And this time around, it's like, all right, here's everything at once. And then we are, all the levels at once at least, right? And then continuing with drops throughout Hitman 2, right?
So, the post-launch content, all those live updates after for the original Hitman, I know were super fun. I had an amazing time with them. Are we to expect more coming for Hitman 2, even though it's not episodic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that answer. So, what about if you haven't played through the story mode and the elusive target is on, let's say, the 4th map? Are you still able to engage in that? Or do you have to wait until you actually reach that in the story?
The elusive targets are not part of the story as much as they are these bonus things that come in, right?
Yeah.
So,
but if the elusive target takes place on a map that maybe you haven't reached in the story, are you still able to play it?
That I will not answer right now.
Okay. That's a good way of not answering.
It's a really, really good question.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
So, okay, we're looking at the Miami level.
Yeah.
And what can you tell us that's new to the gameplay? We've talked about the story. Let's focus on the gameplay.
Well, Miami is by far the largest level we have ever done. Mm-hmm. I think we have around 2,000 NPCs in it.
That's
a ton of crowd. Yeah, it is. It really is.
How many NPCs are on an average Hitman level, just for scale?
Well, it depends, right? But I think we have somewhere around 1,000 on some of the bigger ones in the previous game, right? So that really got upped. But another cool thing is that the crowd now is really been a part of the gameplay. So now when people are after you, you can go in and sort of go into one with the crowd, which is a cool strategic move to do, and which fits the fantasy a lot as well, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the new things that we're bringing in.
Definitely immerses you. I feel like there's a really big push for being totally immersed in this universe.
Yes, there's a lot of role play aspects in this game.
Yes.
Going in and just feeling like the best assassin there, right? That's also why we're bringing back the beloved suitcase,
yes.
Which is it's been such a pleasure for a lot of us at IO to actually see it come back, right? And it's a funny little thing, like why is that so important?
Right.
But just if you look at him and if you walk around with a suitcase in your hand that you know is filled with dangerous stuff, that just makes you feel so powerful.
Yeah, it's not just a sniper anymore. You can put more than just a sniper in your suitcase.
It's become this puzzle piece where you can take whatever you want to put in there, right? And you can get other NPCs to smuggle it. So if you leave it anywhere, people notice it and it's out of place, they will pick it up, get it to a guard. The guard will pick that up and then go to a different place, right?
So the NPCs are extremely dynamic.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely. They will react to so much stuff in this world. Weapons lying there, of course, bodies being out of place, but it happens.
I'm
in
really
the
good
game,
at
right?
hiding the bodies, though. So
Yeah, but that's really nice in our game that they are so observant.
Yeah.
So I personally find there's so much pleasure teasing them because you can tell that they freak out, right? And you can sort of feel sad for them, and you can choose not to kill them at times. I think.
Interesting. I didn't really think about that. So does having NPCs who are a little bit more interactive kind of create more of a choice as far as like, oh no, I don't really want to kill them?
It does for me, yeah, absolutely. And I think I see a lot of people who are like, no, I'm not gonna be mean to you. Of course, to the targets, but they're always like,
But
they
the
deserve
targets,
it, right?
they're asking for it.
Yeah,
but the
absolutely.
NPCs, because that's funny you say that, because when I play the games, I kind of don't really think about that. I'm just like, hey, I need this. So I try my best not to kill them, but I usually end up killing them by accident.
I guess it's a little bit about how your day has been, right?
Very much so.
Yeah.
So going back to the Miami level, talked about immersion. There was when I got to play the level, which I've gotten to play a few times, which is super exciting. There is a mechanic with reflections. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. We learned so much from the previous one, right? And there's so many things that we want to do. And one of the things was, for instance, mirrors, which is also a classic. If you see a thriller movie and somebody's looking in the mirror and here comes somebody behind them, right? So now we added, and nothing happened in the previous game with that. And so we added this as a nice little touch, I think, that they will actually see you in the mirror and then react to that, right? Which gives a great new little puzzle element as well. So we have to be aware of these dawn mirrors, right?
Yeah, well, there's extra things that are on your mind. So that actually is a great segue for the fact that when I first engaged with that mechanic, I was thinking about how I usually go about the level in Japan in the first game, yes, and how I always end up killing somebody in the bathroom, and I'm always so thankful that they can't see through the mirror because there's always a man washing his hands. And I was like, wow, that would be so difficult if I have to do this level with that mechanic. So you guys just announced the World of Assassination. That's what it's called, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly it. If you want to go back to Hokkaido, you might be in trouble, but there might be other ways that you can actually bypass that, because we revamped all of the levels from the previous game with all the new mechanics that we have in the new one, right? And by that, sort of emphasizing the idea behind the World of Assassination, this ever-expanding, ever-evolving universe, right? Because for us, it would be sort of a shame that we love Paris, we love Sapiens, we love all the levels on the previous game, and all these new mechanics, they deserve to be there as well, right? And so we got back, revamped it all, balanced it out, and so players who have the previous game already, when they buy Hitman 2, they will get all these. They will get the suitcase. They will get the new dart gun. They will get I haven't talked about the foliage. We have some foliage gameplay as well. The crowd mechanics are gonna be there. The mirrors are gonna work as they will in Hitman 2, right?
Okay, so the foliage thing. Let's talk about that. What is that? Is that hiding in plants?
Yeah, we did this thing about limited vision areas, right? And exactly, it's hiding in plants that can be crowd size or high, so you can stand up, which adds a whole new element to how you play the game. But that's not only you, because also bodies can be dumped and they won't be able to see them unless they stumble over them, right? And also weapons and the suitcase.
So you can hide all of that in plants.
Yeah, exactly, right? Which adds a great new element and looks absolutely stunning.
Well, I think that just speaks to the game of you and your team add, a few mechanics, and it completely changes the way that people are going to play through not only Hitman 2, but the original Hitman maps.
Absolutely, and tie the two together and the future together.
So, let's start with the original Hitman, since we're talking about the Hitman 2 mechanics being applied there. Is there a kind of different approach that you have to take when you're playing these games? Like, has there been anything that you've encountered that you're like, wow, that is really difficult now?
Well, we're balancing it out, right? And it's a tricky game because there's so much stuff happening. And yes, there have been areas where,
there could be places where we could not put foliage, or places where we put more, because we can also use it to sort of the places that were too hot before. We can sort of ease that out, and other places we can say, well, maybe we don't have a mirror here. We're sort of constantly building, making it feel better, right? Constantly improving on the game that we have.
So what are you thinking about when you're thinking of balance in the game? I know you just kind of went into that, but as far as like how difficult, what's your gauge? Like how difficult is it supposed to be? Because I feel like there's so many different ways to approach things.
Yeah, well, we are also having it, there is, right? It's a tough question. It's a good question. We are introducing different difficulty levels in the game, right? Adding more patrols, adding more cameras for the more hardcore players, and also amping up the combat when you go on higher difficulties, also, right?
So what does that look like?
It looks pretty crazy in Hitman 2, but well, now also in the world of assassination, right? There's way more happening when sort of shit hits the fan. Sorry, with tons of debris, NPCs trying to flank you, stuff like that, sending people out to sort of bypass you, right?
Yeah, well, and I'm sure it doesn't help that the NPCs are now hyper aware of the fact that you're fighting a man.
No, but we also giving the player some new tools to sort of we're introducing some stun grenades and some flashbangs that can mess with them in interesting ways, right?
So back to balance.
Yeah, exactly. So you give a little bit of this, and then you need to counter offer with something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much for talking to me about that.
My pleasure.
That was amazing. That's
all right.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So November 13th is when Hitman 2 hits shelves or digital markets. I guess that's the digital shelf. Anyways, stay tuned because more Gamescom 2018 is coming at you after this. IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more. The IGN app is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With the floating video player on iOS, you can keep watching the live stream as you read other news. World premiere trailers, and the biggest games. Download the IGN app from the iOS or Android stores now. Sign up for notifications and we'll alert you the second news breaks. Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Welcome back to IGN Live from Gamescom 2018. I'm Damon Hadfield. It's time to check in with LEGO DC Super Villains. Phil Ring is here to get us up to speed. Phil, welcome to the IGN stage.
Man, thank you very much.
I love the idea for this game. You know, we all played LEGO games before. We know what to expect, but this time the bad guys are in charge.
Yeah, very much so. We've kind of been into the DC universe before, and every time you sit there going, the bad guys really are cool. So we just started thinking, you know what, let's do it. Let's do a story with the bad guys. Let's play that side of it for a change and see how that plays out from a LEGO game.
Which I imagine is pretty fun.
Oh yeah, it's excellent fun. The bad guys have all the, like we've always said this, but they have the best lines. So we wanted to kind of do that in the game, and then also we've given them some really cool abilities as well. So the bad guys get to do things that are just that kind of that wacky, that quirky, that the kind of heroes wouldn't get away with, but the villains we get to do. So we're kind of filling the game with as much of that as possible.
And so here we're seeing Gorilla City.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so we're in Gorilla City at the moment. So this is a few levels in. We're currently on a recruitment drive to pick up some more bad guys. So we're looking for Gorilla Grodd. So we've just arrived. Lex plays a line about he doesn't want to spook the wildlife as they arrive. So we've got to make our way through the city. But we may be a bit of unwanted guests at the moment.
All right, keep an eye out for them. Well, what's the setup here? What's the story? Why are the villains taking the spotlight?
So we wanted to do something villain-based because of the gameplay-wise and thought it'd be really good fun. So the story was actually written in collaboration with DC. And the idea is the villains are kind of running amok at the moment. And then the Justice League, they're kind of the conflict that you're always seeing, actually get pulled away and they disappear. And they're replaced by these people who are calling themselves the Justice Syndicate. They're actually the Crime Syndicate from 3.
Okay.
They've been brought in. They're not nice. They're bad guys as well. So what's happening is we've got all of our villains that we get to play as, and then these other bad guys are turning up, making them look bad. So we're kind of like having this kind of conflict where we've got all these kind of villains running around trying to do villainous things. They're basically out-villaining themselves. So we're kind of recruiting to make our team stronger at this moment in time. So we're off to go get Grodd, and because he's going to help us out.
So there'll be a bunch of recognizable DC villains, but who are we? We're an original character, is that right?
Yeah, very much so. So one of the kind of things about the game when we were looking at doing villains was it'd be cool if we get to play around in this world too. So very beginning of the game, you get to use a character customizer, create whoever you want to be, and it's one of the most in-depth customizers we've ever done. There's a huge amount of variation in it. You can change the way your character looks, individual arm colours, decals, hair pieces. You can make them look like they're running around in a car. There's some ridiculous things in there. You get to customise your weapon. So I want to attack people with 2 whisks, or a plunger, or a sword, or a blaster. And then on top of that, you also get to customise your abilities. So it really is about making your villain and putting them into the game.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about how do you determine what your powers are, or you have like a set menu that people can choose from?
Yeah, so we have some powers, things like if you want to be a speedster, so you want to kind of give a Flash a run for his money, you get to assign that as a power, or if you want to give your character flight, your villain that you create, you're critical to the story, so you actually get stronger as the story progresses. You unlock more and more powers that you can then customize. So at the very beginning of the story, the rest of the villains basically think you're a kind of throwaway bad guy, like you're just basically a henchman, and then it becomes apparent as you become more and more powerful, you're way more important than that.
I see. So are we seeing our character? Do you know who the character is that we've created in this instance?
So in this level, what we're actually showing, the custom character is actually off doing something different at this moment in time. So we're following Heatwave, Captain Cold, Reverse Flash, Cheetah, and Lex. And so we're making our way through Gorilla City. One of the great things about this is that this is the story level when you get to always return free play. So we don't have our custom character here, but what we can show you is we've got some brand new characters that we're revealing for Gamescom.
Very cool.
So we'll bring up the character grid. We've got some really quite famous ones. People like Calendar Man. He's got one of my favourite abilities as well. So he being very date-based, he can put out a birthday cake, and it actually plays Happy Birthday. And if you're around other people, they start dancing and singing along.
Nice.
So some other characters that we've got. We do actually have some heroes in there as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that.
So we've got a few bits and pieces dropped around.
Okay.
Do you know your Green Lanterns?
No.
So
I'm not going to get very far there.
We have the Space Squirrel badge.
Very cool.
So you get to be a Green Lantern squirrel. And it's one of these things that we get to add things like that in the game that we're kind of really excited about.
For sure.
And then he's got some cool abilities as well. He can actually cause an acorn construct that you can then ride around. So we want to do some bits and pieces. So there are some heroes in this game, but this really is a villain-focused roster. Sure. We've got Granny Goodness. She's a character. She actually plays part of the story as well. So she's got quite a critical role in the story. So she comes along. You can throw sweets from her handbag. She has a gramophone that she can play, and she also has a rocket power Zimmer frame. So she can you can explore, and you can use that to explore the open world as well. So you're kind of bombing around the streets of Gotham and Metropolis on a rocket power Zimmer frame. Nice. I don't think there's many games that get to do that.
That's true.
The team did an amazing job of being able to include that. So. We also have people like Ventriloquist as well. So people who are big Batman fans, and like I say, the team just doing an amazing job of bringing the characters to life. So we have him running around. He's got some brilliant little animations. So if you're kind of doing a sneak animation, you're riding on the back of the dummy, and he's also got some quirky things as well. The team added this, and I remember speaking with the design, and I had no really idea that it was going to go in, and this kind of toy piano turns up, and you can sit there playing it along. So we really did want it kind of full of things to do. So every single character that you unlock, every character that you encounter, you're going to want to find out what they can do. Another one that we're revealing here at Gamescom is actually King Shark.
Cool.
So he's a really cool character, and like probably one of the most imposing characters you can have on the screen at the time. So he's really cool to run around with. But he also, if you hold circle, he does the hula dance.
Nice.
So we get to have a lot of fun with this world. So being able to kind of use the kind of classic characters that people know, introduce some people to some ones they may not, because like I say, the teams are massive fans of the DC universe, and then actually get to put yourself in this story really was what this was all about. It was about making yourself part of this DC universe and getting to run around as a villain.
Well, I think I see Wonder Woman is in here as well.
So we have some of the Justice League variants. So where we have the Justice League characters, we have Wonder Woman, and then early on in the story they disappear. So yeah, you will see the odd kind of hero character along the way.
I see. Yeah, so we're running around Gorilla City. Are there other recognizable, famous locations that we'll visit?
Yeah, very much so. It's really is kind of like putting everything together. So I mentioned like being able to explore Metropolis, Gotham, Smallville, Amusement Mile. That all kind of makes up the open world. We have Gorilla City. There's a whole host of other DC locations we get to go to. Ogre makes an appearance, and then we also get to, we just kind of reading a new trailer here for Gamescom as well, and you may see in the trailer there's a bit Apocalypse. So Apocalypse turns up. That's actually part of the story. So Darkseid and Apocalypse is a very important thing that happens within the kind of, as you're playing this game through. So that's another area that you get to explore.
So how open is the game?
It's huge. We really wanted it to be something that you're going to keep on coming back to explore, and also the way the open world is laid out, it's not about having just masses of space with nothing to do. We wanted it so that if you go to a location, there's loads of collectibles, there's loads of quests. So you might get a quest where someone's sending you off to go collect various people, or you're going out to try and find someone. So while you're exploring, you'll constantly find things to interact with. We also have kind of interiors that you can go into. So some of the buildings you can open up, you can jump in the elevator, you'll go to the top floor of that building, and there might be something there for you to find some people to interact with.
But it's a situation where right from the start you can visit, go anywhere you want, visit any of these worlds, or you sort of unlock them as you go?
So some, like Apocalypse in particular, turns up because of the story, so that might not be there available right at the very beginning. But as you're playing through, once you finish the very first level, the next thing you do is you're building a kind of big Joker truck, and you're off on a recruitment drive. So Joker and Harley Quinn are then driving around the streets of Gotham, and you get to do that like right off the bat, so you can go off and explore. The way that the kind of system works, we want it so that you can always find out where you need to go. So there's a kind of a stud path that will path you to your next story objective. But if you want to go off and explore, you can do that. So you can just go off and hunt around and see what you can find.
Yeah, so we're having some trouble getting up the stairway because of the rolling boulders, but looks like a speedster was who we needed.
So reverse flap is perfect for this. One of the cool things as well is that you can see now we're doing some kind of takedown moves and some combat moves. What you can do is you can go up to an enemy, if you tap circle, you'll grab them, and then you actually have 3 different grab moves you can do. So you can kind of choose how you want to use your character, choose how you fight in this world. So even if you've got like your custom character and you decide that you're going to give your custom character plungers, their grab move will be different than if I'd decided to give him like a gun or something like a blaster or a heat ray or something like that. So the characters and their abilities do change, and that's true for your custom character too.
I see, very cool. Seems like we have a lot of characters on screen at a time that you're jumping back and forth between.
Yeah, so with the kind of the LEGO games, we always want a big kind of party of people that you can kind of come along this adventure with. So we have some sections which are, you kind of have a smaller character roster. So there are bits when you have like someone like Joker and Harley might be off doing a side mission because they want to go rob some bits and pieces. So that's what they're doing. So that would just be kind of 2 characters at that point. But then other points we can have the party go up to 5 people. We also, one of the things that's brand new for this as well is goons are things that villains have, but heroes don't. So a hero doesn't really call on the assistance of other people, whereas a goon will. So if I'm Joker, you may see other Joker goons in the area, and you can walk up to them and wave at them and be like, right, I need your help. And they'll then follow you along, so you can kind of recruit 4 goons with you. They'll help fight alongside you, and then you can use them to kind of figure out a puzzle. So that's another thing that we've added for this title, because it feels very kind of fitting for a villain to kind of disposable goons, if you like, come along. So.
Yeah, they're not worried about using people to further their cause.
Exactly.
Johnny DC is sort of included in this game as sort of a clever like hint system, is that right?
Yeah, so we really wanted to make sure that this is a kind of as accessible title that we've never kind of done to this level before. So Johnny DC is actually our hint character, if you will. So as you're playing through, if there's a kind of, you come across something that you're not sure how to interact with, maybe it's the first time you played a Lego game and you don't know that silver Lego needs to be blown up, you can actually call on Johnny DC and he'll help you out. He'll show you a video and show you how to interact with that world. We also have it so that there's actually two modes at the very beginning of the game. There's actually a rookie and a master mode. So if you're a rookie villain, you've never played a Lego game before, it kind of triggers the hints a bit kind of quicker for you. It makes it a bit easier as you're progressing. If you're a bit of a master at Lego games, you select master modes, you then kind of the hints won't trigger as frequently. And also you have slightly more customization options at the very beginning. Even if you put rookie mode though, the next time you come back to the customizer, everything's available to you.
Interesting. This is a cool sequence we're seeing here with the reverse flash.
Yeah, so we're trying to kind of hunt down some Lego bricks. So the Speed Force is being used right now, and once you've collected all the bricks that you need, we're going to return back, and something is going to happen. So we're building a new item. We need to get through this door. So a giant banana was required apparently. We get to use this. You swing on it, and you get to smash through. So we wanted some new styles of gameplay as well. So just kind of things that kind of change up, so that you maybe wouldn't have expected that if you jumped on this treadmill that was going to happen.
Very cool. Well, Lego DC Supervillains looks like a whole lot of fun. We're going to get to jump into it on October 16th, is that right?
Yeah.
On all platforms, including the Switch as
well.
well.
So we love all the consoles out there, and what's great about Nintendo Switch is you actually have single Joy-Con support. So
that's great.
Just take it off, give it to your friend, and you can start playing co-op.
So cool. Phil, thank you so much for coming by the IGN stage.
Great, thanks very much.
Stay tuned. More to come from IGN Live at Gamescom 2018 after this.
The IGN app is the best way to stay up to the minute on what you love. No matter what you play, create the custom feed and filter what you want to watch. Live streams have never been easier to find. With a floating video player on iOS, you can keep watching the live stream as you read other news, world premiere trailers, and the biggest games. Download the IGN app from the iOS or Android stores now. Sign up for notifications and we'll alert you the second news breaks.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more.
Welcome back to IGN Live here at Gamescom 2018. Guess what we're talking about? If you looked at the schedule, you probably could guess it's Black Ops 4. Yay! So we're really excited. I'm really excited, and I'm with these fellas. So I feel like we have to start with the elephant in the room, the question that so many people want answered, which is, can you tell us anything new about Blackout?
Well, the easy one is that Blackout Beta starts September 10th.
Very excited.
For PS4. On the 15th for Xbox One and Early Access for the PC. And September 15th, Open Beta for the PC.
So there's tons of opportunity to get your hands on it and see what it's about.
Absolutely.
Even if you can't actually tell us what it's about right this second.
Yes, but we hope everybody tries it because the feedback is going to be really what we're doing this for, so we can continue to make the game better.
Well, I think we can say at least that it's a tribute to anything Black Ops. So, I mean, everything, it's a heritage. There's a lot from the history of the Black Ops universe. So I think that's what people will definitely enjoy when playing Blackout.
Yeah, well, and I think what I'm so excited about Blackout is, like you're saying, it's this history of Black Ops, which is an incredible franchise within a franchise at this point. But it also is just bringing in this new element of
Black Ops.
Battle Royale. Yes. So I'm very excited to see you guys' take on that. You mentioned feedback from the beta. So just on a broad scale, can you help me understand, like, what are you specifically looking for? Do you usually go into beta kind of being like, oh, I think these might be some issues or these balance issues? What are you thinking while beta's going on?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's just raw data. Like we're drawing from KDs and win rates of weapons and specialists, and being able to use all of that to rebalance. We're looking at feedback from players, what they write on Reddit, what they post, and what they tweet. But we're grabbing all of that and using all of that to just make the game better.
Yeah, and same goes for PC. Basically, the idea is just to grab the data and see what the fans, what the community is saying about the experience. Because let's face it, the plan for the PC version this year is really to come up with the best PC experience for Call of Duty ever. So we want to make sure that we grab that feedback from the community, so that we can address it and make sure that we ship a game that's the best PC experience possible.
I mean, we even got data on like what keys people bound to see if we needed to make changes to the defaults, make sure that it felt as natural to everybody who plays the game their first time.
Wow, that's so I find that data stuff really interesting, but I will not bore the rest of the internet with my fascination with data. So you talked about the PC version, which is so exciting because I feel like it just feels so amplified this time around. I know it's on the Blizzard launcher for the first time.
Yes.
Can you talk about that and the decision that went into making that happen?
Well, I mean, just to be clear, as the co-CEO head of BNOX, our team is dedicated at developing the PC version. So working really closely with Treyarch, but for the first time ever, and for the longest time I remember, I mean, we secured a team early on, so we could develop all the feature sets that PC gamers would want, and part of it has to do with flexibility, and that's one of our core pillars, is making sure that they can tweak the experience the way they like it.
Meaning
and that,
the players.
Yes, the players, of course. And so that means that it means starting working early on design elements that will be specific to the PC audience, and that's what's great about it. So working closely with Treyarch, we make sure that the game we're putting together is works and is great for the PC community.
Yeah, and part of the PC community, I mean, is the Battle.net experience.
Yes.
I think is the flexibility, and what Blizzard's brought us is the access to like their compatibility lab. Again, being able to make sure that we're testing on the widest assortment of hardware possible, and being able to work with their security experts and make sure that stability is going to be rock solid for launch. All of these things are important to PC players, important to BNOX and Treyarch, and it's been a fantastic collaborative experience.
Yes.
So just there, I have so many questions about just the PC version itself and how it differs from the console experience. So you mentioned design elements.
Yes.
Are there barrels on the map that maybe aren't there on the console version? Like what do you mean by that?
So when we're talking about the experience, it's still going to be the same great experience, but we don't call this a port, because what this means is that we have a dedicated team of engineers and designers making sure that design choices are made specifically for the PC experience. So the maps are going to be the same. The ecosystem is going to be the same. So you're still going to have your specialists, your weapons, all that. But what it means is that we need to focus on what it means to play with a mouse and a keyboard. And so, things like, where, of course, we want to have uncapped frame rate, but there are things also we want to support, like widescreen, ultra widescreen monitors. Playing the game on a 32:9 screen is pretty amazing, but, that comes with design elements. Where do you place the UI, and how does that play into the experience? And there's a lot of multiple gameplay and graphical options that goes into the PC version. So depending on how you want to play each specialist, depending on how you want to play with your field of view, these are gameplay options that we provide to players specifically for PC.
Those are so many things that I just would have never thought of as far as, it's a game on console and now it's playing on PC. I kind of would just assume, my naivety, that, you just kind of do the thing. So that's great to hear that, that investment's there.
There's a lot that goes into making sure that it's, it feels comfortable on a mouse and keyboard. That also the weapon tuning is right. Like we did, on the getting from the beta, looking at how snipers and shotguns compared PC to console, and be able to make choices that it still feels core Black Ops, but that on PC that snipers aren't ruling the day, that there's a well-balanced experience for everybody.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
And what's great is the collaboration, really. Because the whole idea is that both games are going to ship at the same time, but it means that we stay true to the core experience that Treyarch is developing. So our team is working closely with Treyarch with any kind of decision that would go into the PC version. Just the menus themselves, just the entire menu flow had to be sort of reworked for PC. And when you're thinking about all the options, even from a gameplay perspective, depending on how you want to play with your specialists, for instance, this is where we will allow for if you have use their ability to either hold on the buttons or toggle. I mean, there might be things that players want to tweak differently. These are all the kind of things that we will present to Treyarch and make sure that we're going in the right direction.
So you talked about the sniper balancing.
Yeah.
How are you approaching balancing console versus PC? Is that something where your studio is handling that and coming to Treyarch and saying, like, listen, we noticed this, we want to change it? How are they being balanced separately? What is that looking like?
Well, so everything starts with sort of the common weapon tunings that Treyarch does. But as you said, we get the data, and Beanox really is going through the numbers themselves and making recommendations to Treyarch. And there's at least once a week call between designers of both studios as they talk through the stats and decide how to best deal with it. Like, you can tell, one, the snipers may be slightly stronger on the PC, but then the question is, how do we deal with that? And there's a couple of different approaches. It's not just making the damage less. There's everything from reload times to your rechamber times,
hit recoil. That's
recoil. Lots of things that we can sort of tune to try and adjust the balance.
Is there a go-to thing that kind of is the first test? Maybe is that weapon damage when you're balancing a weapon?
So I think we use
a lot.
Yeah, I mean we use the KD and the popularity of the weapons to best decide, find where are the things that are sort of maybe out of balance, and then from there it's player feedback, it's playing it ourselves and being able to see kind of each weapon as its own special snowflake. Yeah.
It definitely. Yeah. It's very sweet. That's very touching. I like that. You guys should make shirts that say that. So, how do you get in the minds of a console player versus a PC player? Because they definitely want and need different things.
Yes. Well, I would say I'll start with, especially regarding PC development, is that Beanox, we have a long history of PC development, and I think that it comes with the passion for a PC game. So a lot of the folks back home at Beanox are passionate PC players, and so that really helps set the stage for the things that they want to see in a game done right. And so, talking regularly with Treyarch, that really helps set the stage for a successful PC title. But it really comes from the passion to really make it happen and make it right. So we constantly have meetings where we just go over what we're putting together. People have opinions, and so we try to listen to what they have. And some of them are, retired pro players, so they have an opinion, and we make sure that we care about that. And sometimes we know ahead of time what the community might say, and this is where we'll address it firsthand. And where the beta comes in, this is where we get the extra amount of information that maybe we hadn't thought about. But it comes to the core of a passion for the PC experience, at least from my side.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't hard. I mean, we are PC players, we are console players.
Definitely.
So it is drawing from our own experience, as Thomas said. I mean, there's lots of opinions and brought to it all the time. But it is, I mean, I think a lot of the reason that Beanox is on this project is Treyarch recognized that the PC community, that we were hardcore PC players too, and we wanted to make sure that the PC was getting that kind of attention and love, and Beanox was available, and it was
a great fit to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Yes. Totally. So let's talk about the competitive communities on both consoles. Well, I guess both consoles and the PC.
Yes.
All three of them. So going back to PC players want something as far as competitive, and so does Xbox. And I feel that, mouse and keyboard moves a lot differently than a controller. What are you thinking when you're thinking about that competitive community and what that means for having it on two separate platforms?
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
Well, I would say when we're thinking about the competitive community, I think that we think about it globally. It needs to be the same great experience. So we're not trying to separate, what you're going to be going through. One thing that's really important with Black Ops 4 this year is the team competitive aspect that comes into play.
Definitely.
The importance of team play, because in this case with the specialists, they all come with their different abilities, and clearly it's never been that much tactical. So there's this sense of picking up the right characters, and communication becomes the key. We tend to say that you can be a badass on your own, but you're unstoppable as a team. So that through competitive play, that's really something that will come across in this title.
Yeah, and fairness. I mean, I think everybody wants well-balanced games, so it isn't like one specialist is totally OP, or like that there's something for everybody to do and feel competitive and feel fair.
Yeah, I think everybody does love fairness. That's a good thing to hear someone say who is in charge of balancing this game. So one last question I do have is in regards to, you kind of touched on it as far as like the tactical nature of this game and the increased time to kill. Where did that decision come from, and like at what point during the process were you kind of juggling with maybe we should make it?
I mean, I think the heart of Black Ops 4 really is Black Ops 3, and it's the experience from Black Ops 3 and wanting to double down on the specialists that sort of started in Black Ops 3 and the feel of it, and a lot of those decisions that came from. I mean, David Vonderhaar's talked about this too. Is the like what was it at their core, and making sure that we were sort of tearing down all of our sort of initial beliefs, wanting to know that like if you're going to have all these specialists and they're going to have abilities, they have to matter. And so that goes to everything from the manual heal, the fog of war, all of these things sort of both play to the tactical nature of the game and also to the specialist abilities, and it sort of all grew up organically from there.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I cannot wait to get my hands on Blackout. So stay tuned, everyone, because we are coming back with more cool Gamescom 2018 stuff. I can't say. Yeah, stuff. Stay tuned.
Before you find IGN's awesome content anywhere else online, you'll find it right at home on IGN.com. With IGN First, you'll get a sneak peek at never-before-seen gameplay, exclusive insights from developers, and a whole lot more. NVC Live brings you IGN's Nintendo podcast up close and personal. Engage with other viewers, ask our NVC hosts your burning questions, and become a part of the show. Don't miss out. Find everything first on IGN.com.
IGN is bringing the gaming world to Instagram. Follow us for custom original content, a good laugh, the latest gameplay, art from the gaming community, and more. Not only is IGN the world's biggest media brand for games and entertainment, but we also have a team of some of the world's biggest fans of your favorite franchises. From breaking news and exclusives, never-before-seen looks at movies and games, to reviews, let's plays, and live streams, IGN brings you all the coverage you need no matter where you are. Whether you're on IGN.com, the IGN app, YouTube, Facebook, or Snapchat, we've always got you covered. IGN, the #1 source for all games and entertainment fans worldwide.
Joining us for day 1 of Gamescom 2018.
Make sure you come back tomorrow for games like Resident Evil 2, Dead or Alive 6, and so much more.
Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow.
Welcome to Gamescom 2018, the biggest game show on the planet.
We've got Assassin's Creed, Pro Evolution Soccer 2019, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and many more coming at you from the IGN Live stage.
Stay tuned. We are live from Germany right after this. back to IGN Live from Gamescom. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of my most anticipated games of the year. Here to tell us more about it is game director Scott Phillips. Scott, thank you for coming by the IGN stage.
Yeah, I'm super happy to be here.
So you guys had your big reveal at E3 a couple months ago.
Yes.
Going back to ancient Greece this time. 2 playable characters, male and female. What are you guys showing off here at Gamescom this week?
So at Gamescom, we're showing sort of the very end game of your level 50, which is the max cap, your legendary gear. You've got everything is fully upgraded, and we wanted to get into sort of how are we dealing with the lore of ancient Greece and the mythology of ancient Greece, because it's a super rich historical setting, but it's also very rich with the gods and legends, and that sort of stuff is tied deeply into Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed lore. And so we wanted to get into how are we going to represent that, and as we'll see here later, it's tied in very well, and I think it works for both the end game and for how we tie into Assassin's Creed and how we tie into ancient Greece.
This is our ship? Is it the Adrestia?
Adrestia, yes.
Adrestia, sorry.
Yeah, so you've got your captain there, Barnabas, you've got your ship, you've got your crew that you can customize. This ship is sort of had some customization, some upgrade options, which can be to make it stronger in battle, and also just to give you a different sort of look at the front of it, and the style of the sail and all those sorts of things.
And which character are we playing as here?
This looks like Cassandra. So we're playing as the female character Cassandra. We've got a legendary set of gear, so you're really, really geared up and looking like an awesome warrior, an ancient Greek warrior.
So we don't start out looking like this?
No. This is after many, many hours. This is after beating the main story of the game and moving on to sort of all of the end game challenging content that's going to keep you playing for the more than 100 hours.
Well, speaking of the end game content and continual play, I don't know if we're going to see this in the demo here, but mercenaries are in the game, right? That's sort of intended as infinitely replayable challenges.
We have some of them that are handcrafted and specific, like we give them specific backstories and weapons and styles, but then there's also just a bulk of them that are generated out of pools of names and backstories and gear sets, and some might have animal pets that come with them, a bear or a lion or whatever. So they're constantly challenging you, and they're sort of also the, in a way you can picture them as the police system of the game. So we wanted the world to react to your actions, because you're not following an Assassin's Creed and that you're able to do what you want. You're able to kill civilians if you want, but we're going to have the world react to you. Yeah, there's consequences to those choices.
So you're a bad boy, you're a bad girl. Mercenaries might come hunting after you. But what if you want to do some hunting yourself? How do you sort of activate that?
So you can find them. You'll find them all living throughout the world, because they have their own agendas, their own schedules. They travel the world. They take on their own contracts. You'll meet them. So you sometimes may meet a mercenary that's way, way out of your level, but you'll remember them. You may remember that they have a certain piece of gear or something that you want to go get from them, and you're going to be able to find them in the world. Sort of set up not necessarily a trap, but a way to I'm going to come in. I'm going to get them to come to me, and then I'm going to assassinate them, and I'm going to attack them in this way. Maybe they're weak to ranged attacks, so I'm going to use more ranged. So it's a lot about setting up sort of how you want to approach them, and then going at them.
So already in the short time we've been watching this demo, we've seen a large variety of terrain, going from the ocean, walking through the city, and now we're in sort of like a
this is the sort of the ruins of an old ancient civilization, and you're seeing some of these hints here of what's going on.
So these people appear to be turned to stone.
That is what it appears to be. Yes,
a mythical Greek creature that turns people to stone.
So I mean, we want to tap into our setting fully. We want it to be ancient Greece as the ancient Greeks pictured their world. Like these things, the gods and all that were real for them, and these mythologies were real. But we want to obviously tie it into Assassin's Creed and to our lore, which I think is great, because we have this history of sort of conspiracies of all these organizations, the Illuminati, they exist. So for us, that ties in nicely with that trend throughout Assassin's Creed, and gives us access to these great fights and great boss battles, which we'll get into here later. But it's also tied into, there's a narrative, there's a story that leads you to it, there's several quests that lead to it, so it's contextualized and fits into the world.
Was it significant that this is happening outside of the main story then? Like, or did you keep that sort of more fantastical element outside of the main story?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's introduced in the main story, but then it's sort of your choice of how deep you go into that, which is, sort of typical for Assassin's Creed, where it's the main story can tend to be a little more grounded, but then as you sort of go on the periphery, things get more and more deep into the first Civ, which allows us to go bigger, essentially.
So you're not going for complete total historical accuracy, but usually with Assassin's Creed games, there is a lot of you usually do go to great pains to depict certain things with
huge authenticity.
Yeah,
like
you've done that as well here.
Yeah, that's the main word for us is authenticity. We wanted to sort of pass a sniff test of like, it seems believable. I could see that as actually existing. So for something like buildings, we go super deep into how did they actually build them. For mythology, we go into what did they think this was? How did they picture it in the world? And then we sort of put our twist on it as well. So it's always a challenging balance to give players access to these bigger things, but also keep the world itself grounded and in the day-to-day, ancient Greek, how people lived. We do a lot of research. We visited Greece. We had a historian on staff that was challenging us on everything. But then it's also, we realize that we give the player these amazing gear sets, these amazing weapons. You've got weapons that are on fire and all these awesome things. Well, you want to test those out, and so we give you these things at the end game